Welcome to our new podcast, Hardback Life, hosted by two best friends.
I'm Becca.
And I'm Cassie. It's time for sass, stories, and strong opinions. So let's turn the page.
Yeah, because there will be no soft opinions here on this podcast.
Um,
So we figured that we would start with an intro episode because people probably want to know who we are.
Unless you follow us on Instagram already.
Also, if you don't follow us on Instagram, you should.
It's at hardback.life.
This wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't promote our social media.
True. We also have a TikTok, hardback.life1. I'm really trying to get rid of the one.
Just leave it alone. Just let it be
I've
hardback.life one.
messaged TikTok twice already.
And have they gotten back to you?
Yeah. They said they're working on it.
You get the response back that says we're working on it. They're not.
Like their politically correct way of being like, this is a small problem.
We don't give a fuck about you is basically what that means.
Yeah.
I guess we could probably talk about our friendship and like how we met. Our husbands were already friends before me and Cassie met. I graduated in December 2018, my first job off of college. I met my husband, Dylan. Andrew wasn't there at the time. He was on leave. And when he came back from leave, I met Andrew. Andrew definitely was like judging me when he like heard about me while he was on leave. Like he was like, oh, is this girl like good for my friend?
No, absolutely, because he was real protective over Dylan.
When Andrew and I were like talking, we found out that we lived in the same apartment complex. Then I think we just decided to get together and all hang out. And then we found out we like all loved video games. That was pretty much how we met.
It's not like a super exciting story.
No, it's really not.
What's so funny about it is like we've been friends since 2018, but really only started talking about books, I would say, in the last like year. We both realized, like, we've talked about them here and there. I've always been a pretty big reader. I was on like a little hiatus. I was only reading a couple books here and there. And then we started reading Bridgerton together. We were just talking about the show one day and we both said we wanted to read the books. So we just were like, let's do it together. I have probably not really put a single book down since. I've just had my Kindle in my hand since then.
I was going to say, like, I think when we first started, I didn't have a Kindle and then decided I was really, that's a whole other soapbox, but I was really against e-readers for a long time. I had a Nook.
Oh, no, I didn't.
I had a Nook from Barnes & Noble when I was in like high school and I hated it. I read 50 Shades of Grey on it and that was it. Those were the only books.
What a fun fact.
I know. What a fun little tidbit there. Yeah, I read 50 Shades of Grey on it and then I just didn't like it. I wanted a physical book and now all I want to do is read on Kindle.
Yeah, I was so against it. Andrew is a big technology person, so he tried to get me on the e-readers and I just couldn't do it. And then when we were reading them all, I was like, oh, imagine how much money I could save if we just bought like one Kindle and then the books are like half the price, if not more, off.
I don't save money. I still buy books.
I think I'm better at it with the Kindle, especially because like right now I've put myself on a book buy ban. So I'm just like going through Kindle Unlimited stuff.
That's good of you. Kindle Unlimited changes the game for sure.
Oh,
because I feel like every book eventually makes its way to Kindle Unlimited.
At some point.
What really irritates me is when they have a book series or a book on Kindle Unlimited, and if you don't like snag it and download it, like they sometimes will take it off. Like the Cruel Prince series was on Kindle Unlimited, and I downloaded the first and second, and by the time I got to the third book, it was not on Kindle Unlimited anymore, and that made me very angry, and I had to buy it. If you see it and want it, download it. What was the book that kicked off your love for reading?
So even as a kid, I always loved picture books, but I would say really got me into reading was Harry Potter. I started with my mom when I was in kindergarten, and it started with like her.
Who's reading Harry Potter in kindergarten? Okay. Was it your mom reading it to you?
It started that way. And then by the end of kindergarten, like I was reading what I could with her. I read pretty early, so.
I did too. I remember being on the carpet in first grade. I loved Junie B. Jones. That was my thing. That's what got me into reading. And I was sitting on like the carpet and it was like SSR time. And this girl like next to me was reading Harry Potter. And I remember thinking in my head, like, wow, what a show off. Like we're only in first. We should probably tell you guys what the last 3 books we read are so you can get like an understanding of what kind of readers we are.
So I just finished record this Cruel and Lovely for book club. I'm currently reading the second one. Before that, I read If You Tell, which is a true crime story. Love it.
You love true crime.
I love it. And then before that,
Just put it out there. Like,
I
just stop
read
being embarrassed about it.
I read Stick Handle, which is an ice hockey romance because
Isn't the hockey romance like
it's
your
like my
preferred
guilty pleasure.
genre?
I like a good ice hockey romance, okay?
You know what I love? This is a sidebar. We both have raging ADHD, so we'll definitely be sidebarring a lot. I love a good camp counselor romance,
No.
but that's because I was a camp counselor
But like I wasn't
and I like lived that life. You weren't a hockey player, but we all have our fetishes. You should read Icebreaker.
I know, I keep seeing that one.
I read Wildfire. That was the camp counselor one. It was really bad. It was basically just a sex book. Is really what it was.
That's why I struggle with strictly romance.
Because it's just sex.
It is. And I need a plot.
We all need a palate cleanser once in a while. I don't judge you for it.
Just come off. I don't think I'd read much that wasn't fantasy since January.
Yeah, and we'd also just come off with Throne of Glass. I tried 2 palate cleansers, one of them being Wild Love. I think Elsie Silvers is her name, and that was so bad. I know that Book Talk will probably shun me for that, but it was bad. On that, I just finished, finally, the graphic audio of House of Earth and Blood in the Crescent City series.
That's
I
the
know you're
worst
getting ready to
one.
start that.
I can't wait.
It took me forever. Part 1 was, it was just very dense. Lots of world building, but it got good in Part 2. So I'm excited to continue that series, but specifically listening to it on graphic audio. That's how I got into fantasy, so I'm sticking with it. And then I also read A Court This Cruel and Lovely for our book club. I did read 2 poetry books, but I don't feel like that those count.
I read one, yeah.
So the third book that I read, not including the poetry, was The Wedding People, which was absolutely outstanding, and I would recommend that to anybody. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, Mel Robbins, her podcast. She was talking about like this book that she always buys when she goes over to people's houses. It's her housewarming gift. And I feel like The Wedding People is like one of those books for me. We should probably talk about like why Hardback Life, like why we decided to do this podcast.
I think it's something I've always looked for, not so much a podcast. I've never really thought about doing a podcast necessarily.
Oh, I have.
You
I've
have.
wanted one for literally years.
I always thought of like a blog, like an Instagram type thing. And I've always tried different ones and I've just never really stuck to one because I've never really cared that much about what I was doing. And then one day we were just like talking about books and I was like, Becca, I think we should do something with it.
Yeah, she was basically like, I want to start a bookstagram. And I was like, let's do it. And then she was like, are you serious? Or are you just messing with me? And I was like, I'm not messing with you. Like, I wouldn't tell you I would do it with you if I thought that it was a bad idea. So yeah, that's how it was born pretty much. I always just wanted a space to be able to really just to yap because I think my opinions matter.
I think mine are right.
I think everybody needs something fun in their life because life
I
isn't
agree.
fun sometimes. So
I agree. I think with the climate these days, I think a lot of people need like you said, like a fun outlet. So it's a fun outlet for us, but then like we've connected with people and it seems like a fun little corner of the internet and I'm here for it.
I love it.
Yeah.
It brings me joy.
Seriously.
That was something somebody told me. They said, if you look at something and it doesn't bring you joy, then you need to get rid of it. I'm always looking to get rid of things in my house, but that's just the incessant need to have a clean space. But I have a toddler, so that doesn't go well. Let's give her book recs.
All right, guys. Everyone's going to be mad at me for how much I talk about this series.
It's fine.
My favorite. A Court of Thorns and Roses. You have to read it. Sorry. I'm obsessed. I think it's beaten everything I've ever read. Like, I was a diehard Harry Potter's always been my favorite series, but
Those are big statements to make. Those are,
it really is.
if that's a big statement for you to say that it beats Harry Potter.
I've got wands over here. Like, I'm a big Harry Potter fan.
We made this list together, so I do agree. Like, I do agree that ACOTAR is a book rec that should be made.
Especially if you want to get into fantasy, but you don't know how.
See,
Good introduction.
that's an opinion that I disagree with you on.
That was me.
I disagree. I don't think that it's a starter fantasy book. Sarah J. Maas does a really good job at world building and character development. Just like she does a really good job in general. And I think that It was too overwhelming as my first fantasy, but that we can get to that at another time. Second rec, The Silent Patient.
Oh, loved it.
Dylan actually read it first, and he is not as much of a bookie as me, but he does like books. And he read it first and was like, you have to read this.
Oh,
And he was right. It was absolutely outstanding.
I was just looking for something. I think I was waiting for a book to come out or something, and it was on Kindle Unlimited. So.
It's so good. The twist at the end is exceptional.
And I am the kind of person, I really like to predict everything in the book. I did not see it coming.
Yeah, and you're really good at that too. Like you always know, and it's really agitating, honestly. You're too smart for your own good. I'm glad one book in the universe stumped you because you deserve to be stumped once in a while. I'll do the next rec because it was specifically my rec, and I'm going to blow your spot up because the next rec is Fourth Wing, and Cassie has not read Fourth Wing. And that feels very inappropriate to have a bookstagram and to have a book podcast and to have not read Fourth Wing.
I first read ACOTAR, and then you told me I had to read this next. And I'm
You
like,
do.
I don't know. Like, I guess I keep getting caught up in other ones.
Okay, make it a priority.
And I know it's like a big one because those books are big.
You need to make it a part. It's so good.
How many are out now? 4?
There's 3 of them out right now. It's Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm.
And there's going to be 5?
There's going to be 5.
So I have to wait for...
You're going to be fine.
You
need to read them. You need to read them. You can't... I'm not letting you go on any further having a bookstagram and having a book podcast without reading Fourth Wing.
I know.
It's a sin.
I know.
And we're not religious here, but it's a sin.
Even my mom's read it.
And that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is rec number 3 because it's a must.
Next is my all-time favorite book. We thought maybe we'd give a classic just because.
Cassie loves classics. We had to sneak one in there.
I love a good classic. Kill Mockingbird. It's a big read, but I am obsessed with it. It's the only book I've ever successfully reread in my life. I think I've read it 4 or 5 times already.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I love it so much. So I highly recommend.
I read it in high school. I read it in my advanced lit class.
Yeah.
And I don't, if I'm being honest, I don't remember a lot about it. I would like to reread it. So the last book rec is in the Bridgerton series. We specifically recommend Bridgerton 3, Offer from a Gentleman. That's Benedict's story. Netflix is coming out with his series next year.
I honestly don't know.
I think that they had a release year. I think it's 2026.
Wow. Like they've already been showing.
They're hyping us up because we have to wait 10 million years.
I know a lot of people aren't looking forward to this season if you've read the books.
I think they're wrong.
Like you think the show's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the season, but if it's done poorly, I'm going to be angry.
I'm going to be upset.
Because it was my favorite book in the series. Yeah. Other than Francesca's story.
Yeah, I did.
I liked hers. But that whole thing is fucked up now. That's our final rec.
So this was obviously our first episode. So this isn't really going to be how all the episodes go. Moving forward, we want it to be more like a book club kind of vibe.
Yeah, we'll have like a chit chat in the beginning, update you on anything crazy, maybe going on in our life, something funny, set the vibe. The vibes are important.
Yeah.
And give you like a little synopsis of the book that we're reviewing and then have a discussion. We're just going to talk about the book.
And tell we're both talkers, so it'll be
Oh my God. And it'll just go on forever, truly.
We have lots of opinions.
And then we will have a rating system, so we can hit on that. 1 hardback would be did not finish or DNF, basically disaster, painful to get through, didn't finish it, or wish we hadn't.
I've never given a 1 to a book.
I have.
But I've never not finished either.
You have issues.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation. 2 hardbacks would be cracking the spine, so some redeeming qualities, but overall just a struggle. Had potential, but it didn't hold up. Like a library book that was dropped in the bathtub. 3 hardbacks would be dog-eared, but decent. Solid read, enjoyable. Not life-changing, though. But, like, you would recommend it with some caveats. 4 hardbacks would be, like, shelf-worthy. So, great book, well-written, emotionally hits all the feels. It's just a good time. You loan it to a friend, and then it was good enough so you would want it back.
Yeah.
And then obviously 5 hardbacks, collector's edition, exceptional, beautiful, life-changing. It's basically earned a permanent spot on your top shelf. Like, it is top tier book. And then we'll give like a brief justification for our score, obviously, and reasons why.
We might not always have the same score because we've differed.
Yeah, we definitely have. I think we differed on the book club book we just read for sure. We'll give like a little snippet of some favorite quotes from the book or things that were impactful or were awful. I know exactly what quote I would give for A Court This Cruel and Lovely that was awful. I'm going to give it right now.
But
You're big. He just smiled against my lips. You can take me. I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't.
they can't all be SJM. That's what
I know, but it's just like no female in the history of females would ever go to sleep with a man and be like, it's big. No one's doing that.
Okay, that's the thing is
That's bad smut.
it's not great, but
It's bad.
the rest of the story was good for me.
It doesn't need to be smutty. She could have written a beautiful book without there being smut. Everybody thinks they can do it if they just slip the word cock in, and that's not true. And then at the end, we'll just tease the next episode
Yeah.
and give you like a heads up on what we're going to dive into. So if you're a listener who hasn't read the book we're going to dive into and you want to read it by the time we release the episode, you can. So this was a shorter episode than we would typically do just because this is like our intro episode. Our other ones will probably be a little bit longer because we're very passionate about our books. So bear with us. But next week, we are going to dive into A Court of Thorns and Roses in the ACOTAR series, specifically just that first book, because there's so much with the entire series that we could not do in one episode. And until the next chapter, stay cunning, stay brave, and remember you are your own high lady.